marathon of the Annabelle and Conjuring series. Annabelle? Fuck. Hard to say. And let's find it. Camera Sense. C-A-M-E-R-A. Camera Sense. Ugh. And you know what I mean. Annabelle. You know, I'm gonna search Annabelle. Son of a... Annabelle. Yeah. Annabelle 1, Annabelle 2. Hell yeah. The Conjuring universe. Fuck you. Fuck you. Google, you're a fucking pervert. You know that. Hope you know you're a fucking pervert, Google. Good lord. How about Annabelle series? Fuck off. Thank you. Now, could you fucking cooperate with me? Fuck you. God damn it. You're probably like wondering, why are you even doing this if you don't want to? Good question? But I have to be forced to, because I was forced to. And I do not stand for forcing people to do this shit. Fuck you little Methodist. Okay, I'm not gonna go that far, but you get what I mean. I'm a little pissed because... Great, I had to do Conjuring you first. Try to turn it up. Great. Sorry, I could take the trivia off. Creation.
43 seconds of logos. Movie opens on almost a minute of creepy doll porn. Dollhouse
I hate
is coming
that
soon.
fucking door.
How fucking big are these dollhouses gonna be? Annabelle is not Barbie-sized. And that was how Annabelle was created. The end. David Sandberg couldn't figure out how to open the film, so he just used old footage of Anthony LaPaglia in an episode of Without a Trace. Old standard being played on a record player starts off innocent, but will soon be creepy cliche.
You can send your son over tomorrow, Vic. They're ready.
Really? The doll he finished at the beginning of the movie was one of 100.
I'll get it!
Man, what an asshole to be driving like 60 past a car that's parked in the middle of the dirt road. Let that be a reminder. You're weeds. You're not
Idiot
costing
kid dad.
lives, you're creating Annabelles.
I just wish you and me were going to new home instead of in your orphanage.
Orphan's position. Why is it some major revelation that Janice wears a leg brace? Is the movie trying to play the sympathy card? I guess being an orphan isn't enough.
I installed it years ago for my wife. Hasn't been used in ages. It works fine.
Convenient staircase chairlift for a girl with polio that the Mullins had no way of knowing would be part of the group of orphans is convenient. Besides, later we find out that Esther simply had her eye taken out by Annabelle. So was her walking affected by that? Is it just me, or does it seem like her polio could have made it up the stairs faster than this stairway gizmo?
Why can't Lyndon leave those beds over there? Okay, but then where would Kate and Tierney sleep?
Orphan hierarchies. Also, aren't these two older chicks a little too old to be orphans?
Locked. And it stays that way, too.
I didn't want to tell you about this before you got up here because I'd much prefer to be a creepy asshole. Very few people know that this was originally a spec script about a haunted dumbwaiter that they turned into an Annabelle movie. It was called At Your Scarevis. Also, if the doll has this power, then why waste time with the dumbwaiter door tricks? Demons. This kind of horror trope is so tired at this point that it's an ingredient in Xanax. I, for one, hope the ghost daughter leaves Janice alone. She'll just start talking about drunk driving statistics. Ever since she got hit by that truck, she's become so boring.
Thank you for bringing us all together.
And if I die before I wake, I pray the Lord my soul to take.
I think this chapter of my Blu-ray is called 2 Straight Minutes of Praying. Feel free to skip, and there's a middle finger next to it.
Carol, keep to your own business.
How did Sister Charlotte not know that Carol had gotten up from the table in the first place? She's literally right next to her. Looks like the Annabelle and Stranger Things universe share the same lighting manufacturers.
This good loving parents that hate homework as much as we do.
Idle prayer chatter. You know, with their father, it made sense to write a message that simply says, find me. But when you play with strangers, maybe it's time to start offering some clues, or riddles, or just draw them up and say, go here. Out of all the girls, Bee had to pick the one who can barely walk to play her games with. Bee sucks.
Forgive me, Father, for I am about to sin.
Preemptive sin forgiveness? Is there a forgiveness bank of some sort? Says here you've racked up 100 preemptive forgiveness bucks. What kind of sinning would you like to do today? Lights still work on a dollhouse that probably hasn't been touched in 12 years. Yeah, you're right. The dollhouse is pretty awesome. It'll make you forget a mysterious somebody was slipping you notes telling you to go find them. And you
Does it
still
work?
don't know who it was and haven't seen them yet. So go ahead and live out your sharp objects fantasy. We'll wait. Strange hiding place for the key to Annabelle's spell-encased chamber. Why wouldn't Mr. Mullins keep this, say, anywhere else? Also, did she hope this is what would happen when she put notes on the ground for Janice to follow? Did she think Janice would pull up the sheet on the dollhouse and find the key to the secret door? And furthermore, is Annabelle a demon that can wander outside of her doll body but needs a doll body for some reason? I submit that if her ghost can do the things we've seen her do, then she could have done all this by herself. Just like the first movie, we never actually see the doll move. But why? There have been 7 Child's Play films and 11 Puppet Master films that show dolls and toys moving all over the place and even killing people. There's gotta be a middle ground where it remains realistic and scary, and yet we still get to see some Annabelling. Oh, come on. I guess that's supposed to be creepy because the doll isn't there, but what's much creepier is the doll actually being there. This choice just makes me ask existential questions. And I become that unemployed philosophy major who smells like clothes and claims he sometimes plays bass for the features. If Annabelle was trapped in the room for the past 12 years with all the scriptures on the wall, the crucifixes, etc., then how did Jan unlocking the door let her out? She was clearly able to make the door open even when Jan locked it again. So how was she ever trapped there in the first place?
I heard this is where Mr. Mullins keeps his wife.
Look, a joke, even a dark joke, has to have some basis in reality. I mean, Carol saw his wife in that room earlier. If they'd never seen the wife, maybe a sick wife down a well joke works. I grant that it works most of the time, with nearly all audiences, but not here.
Forgive me, Sister Charlotte, for I have sinned.
It's nice of Sister Charlotte to hear out Janice, but only a Catholic priest can take confession. Sister Charlotte cannot, by Catholic doctrine, administer penance.
There's this room upstairs that we're not supposed to go into.
But you did anyway.
How'd you know?
Because otherwise, why would you be telling me about it?
Sister Charlotte, already amazing at regular sins, would be amazing at cinema sins.
A sin is a sin, no matter the context.
I feel like a quarter of this movie's dialogue could be our sizzle reel. Of course, there's a scary scarecrow on the premises. It's kind of like this house knows it's in a horror movie. Don't find me just hanging out here in the hopes that you kids play hide and seek. And one of you chooses to hide in here, so that I can scare the shit out of you. Also, just what the is this thing? I think I spent most of the last movie trying to figure out if it was a ghost or a demon or solid, liquid, or gas. And I can't even figure out what plane of existence this thing lives in. I can see the demon eyes and the horns, but why does it need the doll? Is the doll evil or am I evil?
Who's this?
Find out this fall. Seriously, the Conjuring verse has more spin-offs than a CW show. Movie house time for whatever the hell this is. Even if the ghost has this power, why would it do this? Maybe it just thinks these two girls suck and wants to give them a taste of their own medicine, but it doesn't help the scene make any more sense. Also, are they the only ones who can hear the ringing? Assuming it's making this noise, and in the room with them, Kate and Tierney should be able to hear and see this shit as well. So what's the plan here, Damon? If Kate doesn't turn on the light, do you keep doing harmless but creepy things until someone comes in to witness it? At times like these, I feel like Al Pacino and Glengarry Glen Ross.
What's the point? What's the f***ing point in any case?
Good thing only Janice can hear the record playing. And how is that even possible? Carol and Nancy just let out a little yelp and had everyone in the house checking on them. Both of these girls have seen this devil doll, and both times it did something up and creepy. Yet neither of them seems terribly scared of it now. I understand not wanting to look crazy and but they don't even come up with an excuse to leave the room. Why did Return of the Living Bees skip through any of these diary pages? It's not as if they were dated. Monsters with a sense of dramatic timing for later discoveries must be a thing in this universe.
What do you need?
Apparently, it's a rule in horror movies that you have to have the most demonic-looking face when requesting a soul. If any of the demons and ghosts could represent a calm demeanor and ask nicely, it could go a long way, is all I'm saying. Also, couldn't you have grabbed her soul without going through this whole production? This is like the expendable henchman who yells at the hero before attacking, when the element of surprise is still in play. Evil takes many forms. It's a doll. It's a little girl who got hit by a truck. It's a woman pretending to be Annabelle's mom. It's a demon in the shadows. It's a bunch of inky blackness on the walls. It never really knows what it wants to be. If this demon were in college, it changed its major 17 times before settling on history. Yes, get in the slow-moving stair lift. That will outrun. Unrelated, I finished Ivanhoe before this stair lift got to the bottom. Yay me! Now back to the movie. If Beelzebub could control the lift with her demonic ways, then why did she ever even let Janice go down the stairs? Janice survives this. Also, that's it. The demon pulls her up into the air and then throws her back the floor.
Time, I think, is all she needs.
And a cure for polio.
Coming after my soul.
Your soul.
Because I know he is.
It totally had you and then threw you away, though. And in the meantime, what's with all the scary with all the other girls in the house?
Maybe it won't get adopted.
Oh yeah, I forgot. This house is a makeshift orphanage now. And no one's been around looking to adopt these girls for this whole movie. You know why? Because this orphanage is in the middle of nowhere.
You're gonna have so many dolls that you won't even be able to name all of them. Sure I can. Janice 1, Janice 2, Janice 3.
Linda needs to work on her doll naming skills and being less stalkery with her friends. Is this also the prequel to Single White Female? Jesus Christ, that's creepy. I mean, look at the size of that keyhole. Also, Linda has proof that this doll just moves around the house on its own and sees that it's just hanging out in the band-locked room, and she opens the door anyways. Linda deserves whatever hell is brought up on her. This seems like a pretty easy decision to let the pop gun go at this point, but horror movie has to horror. All this trouble for the demon to grab the doll and walk away. What the was this scene? The demon fucks around with her toy gun and steals it from her. The lights go out, and then there's a bunch of footsteps, and she sees dirty demony tracks. Then she sees this. It's at times like these when I feel like the band Ministry. She fell asleep. I once stayed up all night paralyzed because I heard snoring beside me, and because I forgot I was married. Linda knew for a fact the demon was in the goddamn bed under her, and she just dozed off. They can hear Esther's bell ringing from outside, but no one could hear Janice screaming her head off the other night right before her accident. Question: since we just saw Janice get thrown into the air, thrown to the ground, and survive, just how is this supposed to make us feel? At this point, getting a scary ride in a wheelchair is like getting a warm hug. Why is the demon, ghost, or whatever the this is supposed to be, presenting itself as a nun? There was no nun involved in what happened to be or the creation of the doll. This seems to be an image more for the viewer's benefit than having anything to do with the story. Also, seriously, she's screaming her head off. How is no one hearing this? The other kids were just there. If the demon needs her body, then why is it flinging her around all over the place? Aw, just like how demon birds feed their young. By the way, why couldn't this have happened sooner? Also, you didn't hear the outside banshee screams, but you heard some demon goo gargling in the barn. This movie should have been titled Annabelle Selective Hearing.
That's impossible. That doll was hidden away. She mustn't go near that doll.
Maybe if you're going to have a group of kids living at the house, you do a better job of hiding the demonic doll. Just a suggestion. What's really going to bake your noodle is, would Samuel have even seen Annabelle at the kitchen table if Linda hadn't mentioned her? Seems like an odd sentiment. Mr. Mullins hasn't been hiding. He's been in this house this entire time. I don't think I'm even scared of this doll anymore. It's clearly not doing anything except simply being around when the demon does its thing. So, are we going to talk to Sam's wife before we take him away, or no? Okay, no it is.
Get ready for bed, girls. I need to speak to Miss Mullins.
You're letting those girls sleep in the house after that? I get that they don't have really anywhere to go, but could they figure something out better than the house where a dude mysteriously had all his fingers broken in one hand and then f***ing died? So, what did Esther say when she found out that her husband died? Did you guys even do that? Anybody checking up on her? Characters have the best timing when looking out of windows in horror films. What is with the demonic trickery here? Why can't it just take her out instead of playing this hide-and-seek bullshit? Linda knows the doll is evil, but decides, you know what? That evil doll. What's it gonna do? Grab me and try and throw me into a well? I'd like to see that. I get that Sister Charlotte would be a little freaked out now, but she hasn't seen any monster shenanigans yet, so wouldn't this just look like an innocent person trapped in the well? Wouldn't she try to save that person?
I got rid of it! I got rid of the doll!
Weren't you the one just seconds ago wanting to run away from the well because you saw the well covering about to get knocked off? Now you think you've gotten rid of it? You can't have a little girl who is both smart enough to know things like this and have a limited mental capacity of a mere child at the same time.
It's back. I knew it was back.
But chose not to let Sister Charlotte in on this, so she could have gotten the girls away. It's starting to look more and more like the Mullins let these people come to be demon food.
She wanted permission to move into the doll. We said yes. And that's when it became stronger.
Why would the Mullins have to give a demon permission to do shit? If it knew going into the doll was an option, I'm not sure why it didn't just do it. In The Simpsons, one producer apparently gave a note to the showrunners to make sure that any time the nuclear power plant was shown, a crow had to call. It's funny and useful, but apparently in horror movies, producers have the same mindset, with running and giggling ghost children. This trope lost its usefulness long ago.
Evil was still attached to that doll. So we locked it away, where it could be surrounded by the word of God.
Since the church was involved, they couldn't figure out a better place to lock it away than the Mullins' home. Also, torn and pasted pages of the Bible are really going to stop this demon? This seems spiritually arbitrary. Like, why can't you just put a desk in front of the door with the complete Bible lying on it? Now that you've completely sullied a Bible, I'll go in and do my thing. Holy water should work. Psalm 14:1 describes in detail how to parallax a demon. And as we all know, parallax is good and buried, and no one will ever take him up. Make way, Father! My job is putting the doll in the closet.
It was quiet for all these years. I thought the evil was contained.
Okay, you can put the mask back on now. We're very aware of what the demon did to you. I want to play beer pong with this eye socket.
They're on their
Okay.
way. Let's get somewhere safe.
What the hell did you tell the cops? If there's a list out there of shots in horror movies from the last decade that need to be retired, this needs to be at the top of that list. On the 6th day, the producers of this film added the last horror cliche they hadn't done yet into this movie, and saw that it was good. But I thought the demon was inside Janice. Is this demon multitasking now? Or is this some other thing in the Conjuring universe that we're going to have to worry about in the future? What are the chances that this farm could contain 2 Conjuring universe demons at the same time? And besides, doesn't Warner Brothers already have a scarecrow from another universe? This would burn your hands if you tried to screw it in while it's been on all this time. The demon, who obviously isn't stopped by doors, is acting like this door is an obstacle all of a sudden. That, or he's just a dick. Both work for sinning purposes. I feel like half of this movie is a character observing a room as if they're watching it only through a movie camera, and their sight is limited by only what the camera sees. Annabelle 2, Annabelle Harder.
You know what I like most about Sweet Sue? She looks just like you.
It's at times like these when I feel like Elaine Stritch from Scrooge.
Who cares?
Why would Annabelle be back in the room where her soul was trapped? And the movie has given no indication that it wouldn't still be trapped if she was put back in there. Sister Charlotte has a doll, and there's a doll still in the closet. How many f***ing dolls are in this house anyway? Maybe get out of the room where the random debris is flying right at you? Really doesn't seem like this scripture room was good at holding, so I'm not sure how the doll remained there for 12 years.
I want to introduce you to Mr. and Mrs. Higgins.
Alright, movie, as crafty as this little twist might seem, of making the young Janice the girl who becomes Annabelle Higgins from the first film, it raises a lot of issues and questions. The first film leads you to believe that Annabelle was the biological Higgins daughter. They even have family photos of her at a younger age than Janice. Also, the family in the first film actually purchases the Annabelle doll and just happens to live next door to the Higgins, so that's a scary f***ing coincidence even for the Conjuring verse. Seems like 12 years must be pretty f***ing important to this demon. Glad the movie never sheds any light on that, giving us some needed answers. Also, this every 12 years thing makes no sense. Does the demon have a small window of time every 12 years to do its thing? Because the only reason it stopped the first time was because it got locked up in a room surrounded by holy water and scripture. The second time it stopped was almost for the same reasons, but with some wrinkles. Also, movie finally makes it to the original Annabelle, which, if you recall, sucked. So, basically nothing then? It's at times like these I feel like David Caruso in Session 9. Hey! So here's another end of credits sneak preview, and I'm gonna ask, Nick Fury's disguised as a nun now? Man, that is dedication to your work.
Silly Chucky. It's a voodoo pregnancy.
Depression is not just sadness.
It's a tangle of symptoms.
It's tiredness and difficulty concentrating. Depression is multiple symptoms that can hold
these the only three things dolls have been used for? Toys, collector's items, and demonic conduits? Asking for a friend. Also, it looks like this movie should give credit to my freshman thesis, Dolls from Barbies to Bratz, a Raggedy Ann's Tale. Maybe it will also get a B- from my children's playthings professor.
All she wanted was to be friends. When we heard this, we felt really sorry for her. I mean, we're nurses. We help people.
I don't believe the Hippocratic Oath lends itself to forcing you to help possess dolls who very well may want to kill you. Also, we have to sit through a basic retread of the opening scene from The Conjuring. Since probably 90% of the people that see this movie are watching because they thought the doll in The Conjuring was creepy, this scene is pointless.
I don't know where she got it, but we are beyond terrified.
And the thought of putting it in a trunk, wrapping it up in chains, locking that inside a larger trunk, wrapping it in chains, tying a huge rock to it, and dumping it in the ocean never occurred to you? Church has creepy horn demon statue that conveniently will tie into the plot of this movie, in case you confused it with Santa Monica, Oklahoma.
God honors sacrifice, and our sacrifices touch God's heart and move his hand.
Opening shot of foreshadowing sermon is very foreshadowing. Also, discount F. Murray Abraham. We are introduced to our main characters being disrespectful dicks in church. Also, thumb wrestling your pregnant wife in church. Also, thumb wrestling voyeurism.
Who won?
John, but he cheats.
Isn't this thumb wrestling thing this couple has delightful? It's their thing. It gives them such richness in character.
Where did Sharon get off to?
I'll find her. Pete send you after me?
Well, no. We simply asked where you were, and then I volunteered to find you, and it was really stupid because you were easily found in the chapel. But the screenwriter gets to check off your introduction in the first 30 pages of his script, so he's happy.
Children are a blessing.
Indeed they are, and then they learn to talk.
Haha, banter, banter, white people joke, banter, banter.
We shouldn't talk about the baby so much in front of them. It isn't right.
First off, you assholes are neighbors, so how is it not the main topic of conversation? Second off, you assholes didn't even bring up the baby. It was Sharon. But again, you want to give us that insight about them losing their daughter, so you chose the awkward path to telling us that.
They call themselves the family, but police officials have labeled them a dangerous cult.
Between this news report and the previous few minutes of awkward conversations about kids, this is a lot of f***ing exposition for the first 6 minutes of a movie.
Hey, honey, do you think we could shut off the TV? It's making it a little hard to concentrate.
How could he even hear the TV over the loudest sewing machine ever?
It's fine.
This movie casts actress Annabelle Wallis in a movie called Annabelle. Now, she's plenty good enough for this role, but you've got to think the producers of this movie chose her at least halfway based on the name alone, right? Guys, you probably shouldn't let John kiss the baby bump so recklessly, because Sharon and Pete next door can sense you guys being happy about it.
There's something I want to give you.
The last time you said that, I ended up pregnant.
John and Mia have a stand-up comic exchange circa 1930s. Did the ghosts of Bob Hope and George Burns write this movie? There's no way this dude hid a giant box with a prize doll in it from his pregnant wife inside the house without her stumbling upon it at least once.
We'll be a little short on the rent the next few months, but,
Once our landlords find out that I spent some of that rent on a rare doll to complete a collection, they'll be sure not to evict. After Mia complained earlier in the day about leaving the door unlocked, they leave their window open while they sleep. All of this happens in plain view, and Mia wakes up because she feels a disturbance in the force. But unfortunately, this murder turns the light off before she can see anything. Also, Sharon insta-dies, so everything in the neighboring house is completely silent after she screams one time. Also, for this shot to happen, these couples are super okay with leaving their windows uncovered at night directly facing each other's bedrooms. Also, this jump scare is the only scary thing that happens in the entire movie, and it doesn't even involve the creepy doll that the entire movie is supposed to be about. Don't mind me, I'm just walking around being creepy. I serve no function at all right now. There's gotta be a good 20 other dolls in that room. It's as if the woman knew she was about to die and have her soul go into a doll, so she wanted to pick the one that would scare the shit out of people the most. Also, we find out later that this is Pete and Sharon's daughter, Annabelle, and her boyfriend, and so it makes sense that they would kill her parents for some stupid reason. So why are they f***ing around with Mia? Has this guy been hiding in this closet the whole time? How the f*** do these psycho f***s manage to travel through space and time to enter impossible areas, then patiently wait and hide in places until it's time for them to be scary dicks again? Come on, guys, it is way too easy for dolls to get possessed by murderers if all it takes is a drop of their blood. At least have this chick do an incantation or Harry Potter spell. A drop of blood? Are you f***ing kidding me?
One officer summed up these blood-soaked murders by saying, "In all my years, I have never seen anything quite as gruesome as this."
He went on to say, but after all, it is my first day on the job.
You'll save the baby over me.
This diatribe Mia gives John about saving the baby over her is as obvious as foreshadowing gets. But there is no incident for the rest of the film where this notion comes into play and nothing is said about it ever again. Annabelle, just discovering her new ghost powers, decides that using a sewing machine in the middle of the night is the best use of those powers. But I'm beginning to think all new ghosts and demons are given a f***ing handbook when they become self-aware. Rule 1 is, do pointless shit in the middle of the night to annoy the living. Also, this scene from start to finish is close to 4 minutes. There's a good 45 seconds of John trying to figure out how to turn the sewing machine off. This movie is 90% padding. This scene is so beautifully lit and staged that it makes it all the more irritating that the entire scene revolves around a sewing machine turning itself on. This is the best looking piece of shit since Alien 3. I'll tell you what, it is f***ed up that Annabelle is underneath this dresser and not on the shelf where we last saw her, because that means with the freedom of movement she decided to hide underneath a dresser rather than finding a way to hitch a ride to the Maldives. Maldives. This would be scary if I hadn't seen 1,459 other rocking chair moments in horror movies before. Well, I'm done rocking for today. That was good enough to get her curious.
Must be that room. I never did that in the den.
You have to love 60s male logic about how electronics work. Pregnant women love pickles cliche.
Don Form, we are meant to be together.
Yeah, I know. Like mustard and pickles.
Oh my god, the fucking dialogue in this movie. So I can quit talking about it, I'm just gonna go ahead and add another 50 sins here for the remainder of the film. We're never going to see this doll actually move, are we? Like, not even a blink. Because, yeah, I get it. It would be campy, like child's play, if we actually got to see this doll do her thing. But I think it's just more annoying than anything. Whoa. If you spent the money I think you did on this doll, surely it's a highly prized, sought-after item. You should at least try getting your money back or something, since it cost you a few months' rent. But I guess we won't be able to see how creepy this doll is if he doesn't just simply toss it in the garbage. No one will be seated during this movie's 15 sewing scenes. Even though there's clearly only one burner that matters in this scenario, Annabelle turns them all on for maximum nonsense. By the way, I know Mia can't see the popcorn burning, but why can't she smell it? That would waft everywhere in the house. Her pregnant superpower should have been able to sniff this out before even mortal men could. Ah, that gorgeous staple of modern horror, the invisible paranormal activity dragging scene. Also, is this a doll or is it just a demon? Because I don't see the doll or demon hand anywhere in this shot. People actually heard her scream ex machina.
It's a girl.
We shall call her Jiffy Pop, in case you confused it with Pasadena, New Hampshire.
Mothers are closer to God than any other living creature.
Oh yeah, I think I read that in Deuteronomy once. Wonderful. This will be the prized photo in my upskirt collection.
Wait a sec, how did that get in there? I swear, I threw it out.
Wow, I feel like I'm actually there at this guy's audition. What am I supposed to be afraid of in this movie? And why the f*** does she even bother walking around in another room if the whole point is to be a scary dick in the next room? That is a severe waste of spiritual energy.
I said don't tell her.
If this kid is so adamant about the no strangers rule, then why are these two outside their apartment unattended in a high-traffic area of the building where many strangers will be passing by? Also, these kids never appear or are mentioned in the film again, so not sure what the point of any of this was.
Well, feel free to stop by anytime.
It's a good thing we randomly saw each other at the apartment complex that one time, and I own a bookstore that just happens to have a book you'll need later, and that I'm Alfred Woodard. Mia keeps getting drawings of a scenario by which she and her baby are going to get hit by a truck. This is a waste of time for a ghost, for Mia, and especially me. Also, how much time has passed? I was trying to figure out how they could even afford their first house. And now they've somehow managed to get out of their lease, which surely would have come with some sort of penalty, and get an apartment in Pasadena in what, a matter of days? I mean, Mia has zero income, and John is a resident, right? If they don't show us a behind-the-scenes illegal drug operation John has going on at the hospital, I'm calling bullshit. Holy shit, that record player started up by itself. That is so scary. Ghosts turning on record players. What will they Control-C, Control-V up next? Ah, killer curtains! Child giggles as they run from one place to another in a horror movie cliche. This stupid girl had Mia in a perfect position to terrorize her not 30 seconds ago. And once again, who are we supposed to fear? The grown woman looking at the baby in the crib? The doll? This kid? Father Perez and his camera? Give me something concrete, movie. Someone tell me the ghost logic here. Some force is both closing the door and running towards it at the same time. Magic door turns little girl ghost into a grown woman ghost because you should always run your hauntings like a video game glitch. Since I'm Alfred Woodard, I will appear everywhere you guys go from now on.
If you guys ever want a tour of the neighborhood, don't hesitate to call me.
Or just start walking around the neighborhood. I'll find a way to be wherever you are. In the previous shot, the doll was looking directly at Mia as she put the baby down. But in this close-up, her head is turned in a completely different direction. Also, we're almost an hour into this movie. And in a movie that promises lots of evil doll shenanigans, we have still had no evil doll shenanigans. Unless you count a sewing machine turning on by itself, and goddammit, I do not count that. By my count, this is the 4 millionth time this has happened in a horror movie. I am certain the filmmakers will get a prize for this in a secret ceremony in Hollywood, and the virgin sacrifice will appease their god, probably copied from another god. Also, Mia just walked out of the room. How far could she be down the hall before the door started closing by itself, making a loud creaking noise? The investigation of this out-of-nowhere baby carriage will require the rest of the movie's runtime. Mia has clearly never seen a horror film, and approaches the satanic-looking baby carriage, with loud screaming emanating from it that was not there before. This might be scary if the demon claw did anything other than grabbing her wrist. If this hellish being can somehow control the elevator, why hasn't it won yet? And why does it even allow the elevator to close its doors? The mysteries of movie demons. Demon Dickhead forgets to lock the only other exit out of this place, rendering all scares pretty moot. Here's my demon's claw, just in case you decided to look down here at this very moment. Did the demon put everyone in the apartment complex to sleep? Or is Mia the only person here?
That was clearly taken before she got caught up in the cult.
Why is her kid picture in this police report? When we heard about Annabelle running away from her parents, we found out that she was like 18. So the only reason why they would show her kid picture is because, for some reason, this movie wants to have a scary scene involving a kid changing into a grown woman. There is nothing special about seeing Annabelle when she was a kid. So, is this here?
Hello again.
You mean Mia somehow snuck into Evelyn's bookstore without the omnipresent Evelyn running into her before this?
What do they want? A soul, and they won't stop until they get one.
And from what I see in these movies, they won't start until they get one. Wait, come on. The demon can somehow tell the future. If it knows this was going to happen, surely it's going to know how much of a failure it's going to be 25 minutes from now. Plus, since we find out that he wants Mia's soul, how would the murder of her baby lead to that? Massive cheat. We saw Mia pushing the stroller. No baby. She drops the keys, then the carriage starts rolling. There was never a baby in her arms this whole time until the big reveal. And surely the demon knew what was up, or it wouldn't have wasted our goddamn time. It's a good thing she has a bookstore close by with not only an occult book section, but also a book with a chapter titled the name of the cult that is f***ing with her. Mia officially believes in demons, but leaves her baby just lying on the floor as she goes to investigate. 4 million 1? 4 million 2? There's nothing scarier than when heavy books fall all around your baby, but I am relieved to see this being from the depths of hell has horrible aim, or is from the part of hell where they don't believe in harming kids. So? It takes nearly 70 minutes for this movie to Annabelle. Somehow this scene is way less terrifying, knowing that a demon is controlling the doll like a less evil Jeff Dunham. Also, what's the point? What's the freaking point? Does it need the doll? What happened to human ghost demon Annabelle? Demon somehow knows not to be there as soon as John opens the door. This is essentially a John Ex Machina, but it's more of an indictment of the demon's slow theatrics.
This doll. May I see it?
So did Mia see the demon behind the doll? Or was that for our benefit? Why does she think the doll is the problem after all the things she's seen? Also, let's not forget that John and Mia used to have some amazing thumb wars. At first I thought it was some fun character trait for the couple to have, but now I realize the movie totally forgot it, and it was some cheap way to achieve something. So even though Mia has seen this doll wielding some crazy satanic abilities, she still took the time to place it back in her freaking kid's room. This family deserves everything that happens to them. Also, in the original supposedly true story this movie is based on, Annabelle was a Raggedy Ann doll. I get why they couldn't use that doll for this movie, but I feel they went a little too far on the creepy look factor. This doll looks like it would only be purchased by someone that's hoping it will come to life and kill the shit out of their loved ones.
I still don't understand what the doll has to do with this supposed demon.
John would be amazing at CinemaSins.
Demons can sometimes use objects as conduits to achieve their desired goal.
Except in this case, it's ridiculously ineffective, and it's shown it has way more power and doesn't need to use a doll.
Demons can't just take souls, Mia. A soul needs to be offered to the demon before it can take it.
I guess the demon also hopes you'll consult someone who's knowledgeable on the subject so that you'll know what it wants. It's done a terrible job of expressing that wish to Mia so far, so I wonder how it was ever supposed to get what it wanted if it never told her.
At the very least, I've heard of a married couple that the church has worked with in the past.
They're way too expensive for this movie, and they're between conjurings at the moment.
What do we do in the meantime? I can't have Leah anywhere near that doll.
You tried getting rid of it at one time, and threw it in the f***ing garbage. You didn't try anything else, and yet you think it's hopeless. Why not the trunk?
I can't. Not until I know it's not coming back.
Again, I'm going to hammer this. How does Mia know it's the doll? She's experienced things with the actual demon and with the actual Annabelle, with no doll attached. But she sees the doll float in the air once, and the problem is definitely the doll.
The down is 2-1 on a 74th pitch.
What kind of baseball game is being played on the West Coast so late at night that there aren't other people on the roads? So many questions. Damn, this demon was patient. It waited that whole car ride to do anything to Father Perez.
I felt how much it wants.
Wants what?
To take her soul.
Father Perez plays the pronoun game, but we've already established the demon wants a soul. So why is it being said like it's a big reveal?
But you said that it can't take Leah's. You said that it has to be offered.
Why did they ever think the demon wanted Leah's soul? And if I somehow missed that, why didn't they ever consider that the demon wanted Mia's soul?
Father Perez was in an accident. He said...
Demon can affect telephone reception, but I don't know how this draws it any closer to getting Mia's soul.
There, I am leaving now.
Someone hangs up on you and you get a dial tone cliche. So the demon can impersonate Father Perez now? This is the T-1000. This demon only wasn't visible until now because Mia and Evelyn were also looking at the ceiling with the narrow geography of a film camera and have no peripheral vision. So can the doll just appear out of ether now? It's supposed to be a physical object, right? Like, the doll itself has no powers, but the demonic presence inside of it does. So how the hell did the doll get back here without anyone bringing it in? And who was adventurous enough to give this hitchhiking doll a ride? Or did she walk back? Ah, red crayon! God damn, it's about time. You couldn't figure out the f***ing crayons? You can stop elevators, f*** up telephones, close doors with your mind, but crayons eluded you until now. And why so many of the same message? Were you worried that if you wrote it only a couple of times, she wouldn't see it? Also, this is classic pronoun game. Later, the demon finally spells it out and says your soul, which I think could have been crayoned in the first 30 minutes of the movie. Tell her how she can give you what you want.
I can make it right. This is what Ruby meant.
How do either of these women know that this will bring Leah back to Mia? Hell, Mia's only going off of one person's intuition that the reason the demon f***s with you is it wants a soul. And she didn't even hear what Father Perez said to her husband in the hospital. Also, this seems like a very convoluted way for a demon to collect a soul. Instead of farting around for the last couple weeks moving dolls around and couldn't it have just gone to Mia and said, so, I'm going to take your baby, and the only way you're going to save her is if you give me your soul or someone else's soul. Got it? Good. Also, does the doll actually have to do with this? We saw the blood go in the eye, and we've seen Annabelle's ghost appear around the doll, but Annabelle is not the demon that's trying to collect the soul. So does she just happen to be around? And even if we are to assume that the cult raised this demon, where are the hell are the other cult members? Wouldn't they be aware of this and hang out around Mia in their sheep robes or whatever the cult members wore back then? Also, if any soul would do, then why didn't the demon also haunt John? Are you telling me only a female soul will do? That's racist.
God honors sacrifice, and our sacrifices touch God's heart and move his hand.
Except maybe when your sacrifice is to offer your soul to the devil. So we get one death this entire movie, after Pete and Sharon get murdered basically off screen. I mean, Annabelle and her Charles Manson boy toy are killed, but that just kicks the main story in motion. Also, these are the only 3 deaths of any consequence, and all 3 of the films so far made up in the Conjuring universe. If all of these items are possessed in some form, shouldn't everything be encased in something? Also, I was not aware that glass will have protected us from giving up our soul to bad crazy demons. I guess once this doll gets one soul, it has the patience to sit behind a glass case until it's profitable to make a sequel.
Okay, we're done.